everyone, it's Casey. So I wanted to do kind of a discussion video today. I've been making booktube videos for a little while now, but I've actually been watching booktube videos even longer than that. I've been watching booktube videos for about 2 years. And during my time on booktube, I've heard a lot of people talk about their childhood, and I've heard a lot of people say that they were avid readers in childhood as well, and that reading has always been a part of their life. And I think that's wonderful. I think that reading is one of the greatest gifts a child can have. However, recently I watched a video made by Sasha from the channel A Book Utopia. I'm sure all of you probably know who she is. She's a pretty big channel here. She recently made a video, and I will link it down below, about the fact that she is dyslexic and how, because of that, growing up, reading, it was very difficult for her, and she kind of wanted to be a reader, but she just felt like she wasn't good at it. But I thought it was so interesting to see someone on booktube who really had a negative experience with reading as a child, because I did too. And although Sasha still has dyslexia, she's learned to adapt to it and kind of overcome it, because now she's doing booktube. So I'm going to share my story with you guys, my reading journey story, and then I'm going to kind of open it up as a discussion at the end. This story is not meant to be a sob story in any way. Trust me, it's all good. It has a happy ending. So I think I've only ever mentioned this one other time before in a video, so a lot of you might not know, but I was born legally blind, which basically means I have really terrible vision and it cannot be corrected by glasses, contacts, surgery. It's uncorrectable by anything. My vision doesn't get better, but it also doesn't get worse with age. In fact, I've actually learned to adapt a lot more than when I was a kid. So like my vision, it's not that my vision has gotten any better, but I have learned to adapt a little bit better. So when I first started to learn how to read, it was really difficult for me. I was having a lot of trouble with it. I was having mostly just a lot of trouble tracking back and forth quickly. Reading for a legally blind person, it's different for everyone. It might be easier for some people and harder for others. Some people who are legally blind read Braille. I actually never learned how to read Braille. I almost did, but people told my parents that if I had enough vision at all to see a little bit to read, you know, with my eyes, that I should learn how to do that. So I'm glad I did. So we had these reading groups in school. We had like the slowest level to the highest level, and the lowest level of reading was like this orange group. They were separated by color, and you were supposed to start in orange and then move up, but I was in orange for like a year or two. I like could not move up, and it was pretty embarrassing to like always have to go over to the orange section. When you're told you're bad at something, you really believe it. I never saw myself as a reader. I never said to anyone I'm a reader. In fact, I pretty much had a really negative outlook on reading. I was like, oh, you can read that, but I can't, you know? Not that I couldn't, but that I didn't enjoy it and I wasn't good at it. And I feel like when you're not good at something, you kind of give up when you're young, you know? So I was just like not a reader. My friends were reading Harry Potter. I was like, good for you, not for me. But I still loved stories as a kid. I still love stories. So I loved listening to books being read aloud to me. I loved listening to audiobooks. And back when I was young, I actually had them on cassette tape. So I remember having like The Secret Garden on cassette tape and stuff like that, and I obviously still loved like TV shows and movies. Like I loved stories and storytelling and theater and everything, but didn't like reading. No. So I went through middle school. Middle school came and went. Wasn't reading at all. Then I believe it was my freshman year of high school. I don't know, I think I was about 14 and I'm about to be 23, so it was like almost 10 years ago. My best friend at the time really wanted me to read this book. You may have heard of it, Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was about Twilight. I flew through it. It was the first time I had ever read a book that big, and I never looked back. Right after Twilight, kept reading. Never stopped after that point. And the more I read, the better I got at it. Just like Sasha, my problem is not gone. I'm still blind. I have learned to read in a way that is comfortable for me. I'm not the fastest reader. You don't have to be legally blind or dyslexic or anything like that to have disliked reading as a child. You don't have to have a problem. Like, you could have just disliked reading. You could have still felt like you were bad at it. You know, it could be a number of things going on that could have made you feel like a bad reader. You don't have to have a reason. So I know that most of you, or all of you watching this, are avid readers and you love reading. So I wanted to open the discussion up to you. Did any of you have this as a child? Were any of you turned off by reading at school? Did you all love it? Because I think it's also really cool to hear about people who loved it. I love hearing about anybody's reading journey. Like, if you loved reading as a kid, I think that's a beautiful thing, like, that you grew up with it. In fact, I'm kind of jealous of people who, like, grew up reading and loved it. I had a few series I loved as a kid. Like, I loved Junie B. Jones, so I did read a little bit, but I still did not like it, especially at school. But yeah, just let me know. I'd be so interested in hearing when you started reading and just your whole reading journey. Yeah, alright, bye everyone.